My name is Virginia Itonga, the principal Alliance Girls High School, a national school, one of the first 18 national schools. It's situated in Thogoto, Kikuyu sub-county. We were invited for a launch at Alliance High School, where we met Equity Bank, which had sponsored Alliance High School. A good project, and I also encourage that program and project in our schools. Equity, we are ready for you as well. From then, we contacted Equity Bank, and they took us through the whole process of how we can also convert our kitchen from firewood cooking to gas cooking. They exposed us to several contractors and suppliers, and today we use the LPG gas in our kitchen. We no longer use firewood. We have had the LPG since 2021. We are coming to almost 2 years now. We have used it actually for 1 year and 3/4 of the year. LPG cooking has many benefits. First and foremost, we have done away with deforestation. That is one, and quite major. Then our kitchen is extremely clean, such that our cooks no longer cough just because of smoke. And the first 3 months, we realized that in the worst month, we were saving about 60,000. So if you multiply 60,000 per month for 3 months, that's all 180,000. If you multiply for 3 terms, you see it's going to over 500,000. And so we realized that that money could be used to do another project in school, or we could use the same amount to support needy girls who could not pay their fees.
Now my staff don't wake up as early as they used to. They used to wake up at 2. Now they wake up at 3:30 a.m. because now the gas is to the work road, and we find it more efficient to use the gas compared to firewood. We used to scrub the filters and the hood twice a term. Now we only do it once on cruising the school. Then we used to scrub to remove the soot, which was being brought about by the smoke, the firewood. And still we used to scrub the walls, which we now don't do. We only do at the end of the year. We don't stay longer in the evening because of the work. We only stay because we are waiting for the students to come and serve their 10 p.m. tea.
We used to use a lot of time serving students, but these days we are able to serve them in less than 30 minutes. They are done and they are gone to their studies, that is in the classrooms, where they concentrate in the academics. When you're using firewood, we'll have the suppliers bringing in firewood that is not dry, so you'll have to spend a lot of time calling them so that they can come and cut them into smaller pieces, or they add more firewood that is dry, and that one will be wastage of time. But these days we have 2 tankers, each 2 tons, so we have 4 tons. The current suppliers that we have are very efficient, and I'm sure if I have the 2 tanks full, in 2 months I will not have any issue of following up the suppliers.
We are in partnership with Equity, and we've been planting trees where initially the trees were cut. We've done a lot of afforestation. We planted over 5,000 trees. It feels very satisfying, and you feel proud that you are part and parcel of a transforming group that is advocating for greener environment. We are also advocating for use of green energy.
wetu.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Tunayo benki inayotufaa sisi wateja na wafanyikazi, tuko pamoja, lengo letu moja, kuyaboresha maisha ya watu, kujitolea kwa huduma bora, kuendelea kwa uaminifu, kuhudumia wote kwa furaha. Equity benki inayotujali. Benki yako, benki yako, benki yetu ni Equity. Ni benki ya watu wote, ni benki inayotujali.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you as we bow before thy throne this morning. Thank you for the wonderful day that you are giving us and the wonderful week ahead of us. We want to bless you as we gather together in this place for this function, Equity Group, Sustainability Report Lounge. How we pray that, Lord, as you have always been with us and blessed us and given us opportunity to serve you in this world in various capacities, we want to thank you because we are who we are this morning because of your grace. And more importantly, because of walking with us and giving us your presence in all that we do. How we pray that, Lord, you will allow us to enjoy your presence in this function, even as you stretch your hand and bless this function. Bless all of us who have come and give us a wonderful time full of peace unspeakable. We bless you and we thank you for this we do in Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
We may have our seats. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start this forum with a bit of a confession. I was just listening to the Equity Anthem, and I was wondering whether to dance along with them, but I was waiting for the CEO to give me a cue. But I think we all are attention, but it's an amazing one. Once again, welcome to this amazing Equity Group Sustainability Report launch. And I have the honor and privilege to be your facilitator today. My name is Maina Chege. And if you like, you can pick the first two syllables of my name, MNC, and call me MC, and I'm your MC today. So thank you so much, and once again, welcome. Two things stand out for me today as we are doing this. First of all, the venue and the choice of venue that is there. Isn't it amazing? This is the first kind of launch I've seen happening here, and so this was such a perfect choice. And looking through why this Karura forest still stands strong where it is, it just signifies the collective effort of people standing for what matters and what is important. And this is very important, especially when we talk about matter sustainability. The second thing, definitely, I am sure we are in the house of experts and they understand matter sustainability, ESG, Sustainable Development Goals. But one thing is quite interesting. I think Equity started the sustainability journey without even us moving from the Millennium Development Goals to Sustainable Development Goals. Just by virtue of the name Equity in itself, which features a lot in the SDGs, I think you started way before then and giving access to finances and really equalizing the platform for everybody around. So once again, welcome. I've been informed by the digital teams that we are live streaming this. So for everybody who's joining us online, welcome to this amazing Sustainability Launch 2022. And because of that as well, I have a report here that I'm about to make you a bit uncomfortable. So please turn to the person seated next to you and look at them nicely, give them a smile. I'll tell you why. After that smile, please, around yourselves, people have different brands of phone. The one with the best camera, you're going to take a selfie together. Just one, and I'll tell you the reason why as well later on. So please do that. I think people are discussing, is yours an iPhone? What is it? It's okay, whatever it is. As long as it can take... I think Vimal, you're the tallest there. It could be the selfie stick. That's what we say there. So you never know. That could work. This table needs help, right? Wow. Make sure you get the good side, Yeah, it's very important. Okay, once you have it, kindly, I didn't know this is going to be this exciting, but well done. Such an angle. That's a professional selfie taker. Well done. Please post on Twitter, and we want you to tag Equity Bank as well. And the hashtag is Equity Group Report 2022. That's the hashtag on Twitter. The hashtag is Equity Group Report 2022. It would be a great favor if you could do that. And we have to communicate digitally, so that's very important. For those of you who are wondering what Twitter is, it's an app. You can download it right now and post. Anyway, thank you so much for that. And once again, welcome. At this moment, I want us to get started by inviting the man I call the captain of this banking industry, especially not just in Kenya, but even in East Africa. And he tells me, his eyes are way beyond over 7 countries and looking over and beyond. Dr. James Mwangi, the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive, Equity Group Holdings. A round of applause to him as he comes to really let us know what is this sustainability all about. Karibu sana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maina Shega, for such a warm beginning. I hope I will be able to match the zeal and hopefully drive the excitement that you got us into. Just want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you. Thank you most sincerely for honoring our invitation. The house is full. From here, just the warmth of the heart. Helen, when you come here, you will see what I'm seeing. Love of people to the Equity blood. We are very, very grateful. Today is a very special day for us. When we thought we could call you in a very special venue, Karura Forest. Have breakfast together, discuss a little bit the subject of sustainability, and hopefully form a group together so that together we can push the agenda of sustainability. This journey to me started with an individual. Would not be here today if it was not for Professor Wangari Maathai. This would have been an estate. And it teaches me a lot about the power of one, the power of conviction, and the power of doing what needs to be done and what is right. I want to invite you, for the moment, we stand up in honor of the late, and in memory of the late Professor Wangari Maathai, and observe a minute in her honor. Thank you. You may be seated. I trust that moment gives us an opportunity to reflect of what individually, at a personal level, the contribution we can make to sustainability. This beautiful venue, we came to celebrate a life of a person who devoted her life to what we have as a heritage today. For us at Equity Group, we define sustainability as meeting our needs today without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So we use joy, but really give a chance to future generations to do the same. And protecting today and the future then is really the core of sustainability. And it should be at a personal level, at the business level, or at the corporate citizen level. Equity Group has pursued sustainability from the very beginning. We got the challenge of the name, Equity. Those who may not have interacted with Equity a lot, it's borrowed from the doctrine of law. It means fairness and justice. And the practice of that led us to a path of devoting 2% of our revenue, not profit, revenue, to a cause of sustainability nearly 35 years ago. And we have seen in various forums, Equity described as a purpose-led organization. That purpose is purely the mission for which Equities exist, to change lives, give dignity, and expand opportunities. And that is the cause that Equity has had. And for that reason, Equity acquired unique features, like talking about members instead of customers. Why it's members of a movement of socio-economic transformation, active participants. And as a result, investors started describing us as an impact investment. We're having impact in society. Some described us as a socio-investment. And when you combine social impact investment, then that tells you who equity is. And essentially, the model evolved to have two engines. The social engine, grounded on Equity Group Foundation, the platform for collaboration to doing well and doing good, while the economic engine then sustains and scales everything we do. It generates a profit that has allowed us to move from financial institution number 66 out of 66 25 years ago to the largest financial group in Eastern Central Africa. That is the power of the economic engine. But pulling along it, or besides it, is the social engine who we are celebrating the efforts of that sustainability. And eventually, the professors of Harvard called it the shared prosperity model. We had not seen it that way, that really equity shares the prosperity that the commercial engine creates with society, with the communities, best manifested by the 3.6 peasant farmers who have been supported to convert into agribusinesses, reflected by the 60,000 needy kids who have got scholarships for their secondary education, the 22,000 scholars who have found places in our universities. That spread reflects a shared prosperity of these two twin engine business model, a movement of people making progress in every facet of their lives: self-esteem, dignity, quality of life, and opportunities, access to opportunity. This is very well reflected in our offering. Our flagship product is Fanikisha. Fanikisha, a Swahili word that means make it possible. It's a 9-tiered product intended to help women to be successful. No wonder 54% of Equity's customers are now women. Why? Because they are made to realize their dreams in an environment that is all pamoja banking, as people would call it, Fanikisha, pamoja, and of course the group. So as we championed this cause, we later realized that we were contributing to a socially and economically sustainable world. And then reflecting back, we started then scripting. And today we invite you, when we finish, you see what the impact has been across the organization. And learning 30 years, when concepts had not been developed, but because we were a community bank, we carried the community with us. And that is why all these projects are. 4.5 million households are reached through social safety net payments on behalf of all 18 partners. Bank that brings everybody, chooses to build a branch in every refugee camp so that you can create integration of refugees with host communities. When we did those things, we were doing what we thought was right as a community organization. Today, we see we were maybe ahead of the curve in sustainability. Equity's core is built around governance, and those who know Equity from technically insolvent has emerged because it chose the narrow path. And the narrow path has been defined by very strong governance structures that has protected the bank to grow uniquely and to be able to make progress to what it is today. So when you combine governance, social, and environmental considerations, then you really fit into a sweet spot of sustainability. making sure that you meet your needs without threatening future generation from meeting their needs. I was brought up in a village on the slopes of Aberdare Forest. And when I reflect back when I was growing up, the number of streams, the biodiversity in the village, the frogs, and the beautiful butterflies that I used to chase around. When I take my children home, they have no butterflies to chase. There are no streams to go to. And I realized how much the world has changed and how much we have lost of the heritage we. And it's for that reason then we said, why don't we call like-minded people? And because if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you walk with others. Then we walk together in this journey of sustainability. We support each other. We team up in activities. And in so doing, Equity has formulated what we are then broadly calling the African Recovery and Resilient Plan. My village of Nyagatogo needs to recover to the village I grew up so that my children can have the same experience. Our agricultural, the farms used to feed us. The farms have turned barren. We need to restore the fertility of the land. We need to restore the weather patterns that we all were familiar with. But more importantly, is also to make Africa resilient. Sustainability requires a lot of resilience. And so the African Recovery and Resilient Plan is about sustainability of the African continent. Nobody can do it alone, but together we can. But learning from the lessons of Professor Wangari Maathai, each of us have immense power, the power of one. So our passion and commitment in this journey will be infectious, and others will join us. We are responding to the crisis the world is facing, particularly on food insecurity. When you create food insecurity, it even threatens the social well-being of people, whether it's health, whether it is education, all those becomes really uncertain. That threat to education, the health, the well-being, the basic well-being of people is really at. So I want to once again to invite you to reflect on the contribution of Wangari Maathai single-handedly as we watched, and then reflect on what we can do together. I'm not a specialist in this area. So as a group, we have chosen to be guided by a colleague who have the credentials, the experience, and socialized as such. I want to invite Dr. Helen Geshohi, the chair of Equity Group Sustainability Board Committee, to take the subject further. Helen, feel free to go technical.
Good morning, everyone. And I see what James saw. His eyes saw right, and so do mine. And it's wonderful to see so many wonderful faces, and for honoring our invitation to come this morning. I'm delighted, particularly, to be at this venue because of Professor Maathai. She was my mentor. She was my member of parliament. When I was in the conservation sector, she was my assistant minister. And we spent a lot of time, quite a bit of time together, because I wanted to understand why and where she had drawn that courage to resist and to fight, and especially for trees and forests. And when you're growing up, of course, you think that you're going to be like her. So I'm not her, I'm not like her. We are all on the journey to being, but this today is particularly poignant that we're here. If I did talk about conservation and sustainability and I let loose, we would be here for a very long time. So I'm going to really just tell you, give you a little of background, the foundation, the equity group, the committee itself, what we're doing, what we're endeavoring to do, and why it's important. What you've heard from James is that we have a twin engine, and the group has made greater strides than it actually realized when we started talking about ESG. And especially on the social side, we have had great impacts, very, very significant impact on society, very significant impact on people's lives. And really all we need to do is to twin it with the environment, because that is really the new emerging threat that is undoing many of the gains that the world is making in making people's lives better. And so if you look at some of the information we are receiving from experts, we are told from the World Economic Forum Global Risk Perception 2022 that 8 out of 10 of the most severe risks on a global scale for the next 10 years are environmental and societal, but 2 of the most and the highest ranked risks have to do with climate adaptation and climate mitigation. And why? Because it touches everything we do. You're either mitigating or you're adapting to it. And as the world hurtles toward a 1.5 degree temperature, this is pre-industrial temperature levels, the threats are growing and becoming much larger. And they are to society, they are to the things we are doing in agriculture, in general environment, and the nature base that we rely on. But I guess we can also resonate with our local experience over the last few years. We've had very severe drought. Those of you who travel around the country saw the widespread suffering, the famine, the death. Those of us in the wildlife sector were alarmed because I think for the first time we got to places where we lost more wildlife than we've ever seen lost. And that was quite shocking because wildlife usually manage and are usually quite resilient. And the events are expected to become more frequent, more intense, more insidious, and have more profound effect on our systems, and they'll be breaking down the resilience of communities and ecosystems. And it's therefore also not surprising that the world is waking up to these challenges, and there's pressure on organizations such as ours to demonstrate and to articulate the role we are playing to address sustainability challenges, and also to become and to prioritize sustainability. And sometimes when we talk about sustainability, it sounds very amorphous, but it's really the things we do for life. It's the things we engage in each day so that our lives can be better, so that the environment around us can be better. And if I may give you some info, is that if you look at the world and the dependency on natural environments and natural systems, Africa is the one that is most dependent on the natural world. And therefore, as it gets destroyed, as it changes because of climate, it means that the shocks and the risks that the communities will suffer are much more insidious. So because of this, the Equity Group Board, chaired by Professor Macharia and led by our CEO, decided that it was time to really be much more focused, be much more intentional in creating a board to help us pursue greater excellence in our environmental and social performance. And so what's the role of that committee that I chair? Its role is to assist the board to ensure that critical and relevant sustainability and ESG considerations are incorporated in our purpose, in our strategy, in governance, in the way we make decisions, in the way we manage risk, and the way we report. And really, in a nutshell, is we are trying to embed environmental and social governance into the DNA of the group. We're also trying to understand and align the sustainability throughout the organization and its priorities. We are also trying to advise and make sure that we have appropriate frameworks to establish and maintain good governance for the group's activities on matters of sustainability. That we define targets and metrics that we measure, and so that when we come back to report to you, we're measuring on metrics that we have developed and that we have broadcast, so that we are held to account on what it is that we want to do as a sustainable organization. And of course, we have regulators, and they themselves have their own aspirations, and they have demands. And even as we embed this in the DNA, we must also comply. And I see NSC is represented here. And so we must comply with national and international regulations. But also what we are finding is that having a committee is really just enabling us to review emerging risks and the opportunities better. Because climate is not just about risk. Some of the challenges we are talking about, they are not about risk. They're about opportunities. The group is here to look at those opportunities and look at how you can take those risks, take those opportunities, whether in the way we manage forests, whether it's in the way we manage agriculture, whether it's in the way we manage our water, because we are a very water-scarce country, and a lot of our business is right on resources such as water, that we work with our partners to make sure there's opportunities that are emerging as the need also to transition to newer energies, that we're able to take opportunities, for example, to do just transitions and to make profit, but with purpose and in a way that also helps people. So we've learned quickly. We are a new committee, and we are learning quickly. And we have learned that there is growing scope, of the growing scope and breadth of sustainability. We are learning that there are a lot of gaps in the way we coordinate, both locally and nationally. We're also learning that there is a lot of debate, discussion. There is not agreement in the sustainability world. Any of you who read a few months back, The Economist, saw what companies are saying in Europe and elsewhere about sustainability. The fact that it's going to weigh heavily. It is going to diminish profits. It is supposed to shackle organizations. So there is debate, there is no agreement. But I think within equity, there is agreement that sustainability is essential for the future, for both our planet and for people. We're also learning that we ourselves as an organization, that we have to worry about our own environmental footprint through sustainable practices in the way we operate. You have to lead by example. You can't be talking to suppliers and telling people about how sustainability and how well you're doing outside, but internally you're not doing the right things. So we're also improving our own practices. But if I go back without talking to, I'm an ecologist by training. And so when I think about sustainability, and that's why James said, go for it, is because part of what I've been bringing to that is the environmental eye and the environmental view to this. Because on the social side, the bank and the group is very, very strong. And what certainly, and some of the conversation we're having and some of the discussions we've had both as a board and with the management team, is that we have found that the challenges in sustainability at a global level, local level, are enormous and they are complex. There are multiple approaches, multiple knowledge and capabilities and funding mechanisms that are needed. And James said it very well, that no one individual or institution or government can do it. And so we need partnerships. And this time we need partnerships with unusual organizations, and some of them are here in the room. We've got WWF, I think CI, we've got NSC, but looking at sustainability. We've got the UN agencies, but thinking about it from a sustainability, investment scope, and many other and development actors and their resources in ways that perhaps we have not engaged before. And those are required because we're in unusual times. Our ecosystems are being lost. Our ecosystems are declining. As I said, resilience is declining. I've spent a lot of my time going around in many parts of the world to see what happens when you make bad choices and bad decisions. And recently I was in the US, in the Yellowstone National Park. Is a place I always wanted to visit. It's a huge area. It's millions of acres. It used to have huge numbers of wildlife. And now, when you go there, they are very proud to show you a few bison. They are very, very proud to show you a few bears. And we could only see them at a distance. And we needed very, very strong binoculars. And even then, you really couldn't make it out. And I sat there reflecting and thinking. Africa has amazing resources. We have wonderful natural resources. We have amazing forests. The second largest forest after the Amazon is with us. We have the most arable agriculture. We have amazing, the fifth wonder of the world is in Kenya and Tanzania. But we haven't appreciated it. The air we breathe. Somebody played a game on me when we were there, and they knocked my door. And they said, "I've come, Helen." And I said, "Our meeting is not yet. It's not yet time for our meeting." And he said, "I have come, and you can see I have a bag here. And what I'm doing is I'm charging for oxygen. I'm charging for oxygen." And this was somebody who was trying to make a point, and he was doing a skit, but we didn't know. And I said, "Okay, so what oxygen are you charging for?" She said, "Well, isn't that where we're going? Isn't that where the world is going? We're buying water because we can't get clean water. As our globe and our environment warms, we shall have less water, we shall have less oxygen, we shall have less of everything that we need for life." And this person laughed, and she said, "How much would you have paid if you were actually paying for oxygen?" And it was a very interesting conversation. And I said, "Why don't we go and have a long lunch and talk about buying oxygen? Are you also going to be selling carbon dioxide? Or are you going to be, what else will you be selling?" But the point I'm making is, in this one place, what was clear is that if we don't do things differently, our world is going to be much more different, Daktari, than you talked about. Butterflies are an indicator of environmental health. Beetles are indicators of environmental health. Most of us have not seen butterflies for a really, really long time. How many of you do? Very, very infrequently. Those of us who spend time in the wild would tell you Kenya has lost 60% of its biodiversity. Even the large mammals that we see. We talk about elephants, and we think we have a lot of elephants and that we are doing well. We are doing really badly. We only have 20% of the elephants that we had in the 60s. So what I'm saying is that even countries that have been ahead of us have taken the wrong journey in as far as sustainability is concerned. And I think as equity, and that's why we are here today, I think it behoves us to reach out to partners who are represented in this room so that we can work together to create new partnerships that will help us to scale, that will help us to speed up, that will help us to engage with society, with the social challenges that we have, with the environmental challenges we have at an even greater scale than we have before. What we need are experiences, capabilities, like-minded partners with whom we can work together. Again, as you said, we might walk more slowly because it is going to be much more complicated. Dealing with the environment is much more complicated. I think the professor, before I finished, said to us that if we don't protect the environment, it will come back to bite us. And when it bites, it doesn't matter how well educated I am. If I don't have water, my education is no good. If I don't have that oxygen I was being sold on that day, my life is no good. So we really must balance between environmental considerations, social considerations. We must fund them at the right scale. We must make partnerships that make sure that we can create an enduring world. But most importantly, we must each commit, as she did, And her story of the hummingbird is a really important one. Each one of us can be that hummingbird in making sure that we protect our own backyards, we plant our own trees, we mind our own water, we stop polluting our water so that a water-scarce country has rivers it can never utilize because we have polluted them. And that's our commitment as the Sustainability Committee, as the Equity Group, is that we'll continue to lead in matter of sustainability. We're not doing them because it's a requirement. We're not doing them because we have to be compliant. We are doing them, and we urge others to do them because they need to be part of the DNA. They need to be embedded in strategy. They need to be embedded in the way we do things and the way we live. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Helen. One more round of applause to her. Thank you so much for those remarks. Representing the Permanent Secretary, the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, we have John Elngata in the House, and he's the Secretary, Administration, Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. A round of applause to him as he comes to give some brief sentiments. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Speaking after that good doctor, it's not a very easy thing. But I want to say that I was happy to hear Dr. James Mwangi speak about Equity's journey. And like I've always said, whenever I meet Equity, I've been part of that journey. I saw where it came from. And I'm proud that I've been part of those who have been fanikished by Equity. So, but today I've come to represent the peers in the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. Engineer Festus Ngeno, who would have been here, but because of the many things we are doing in preparing for the African Climate Summit, he was not able to make it, but he passes his greetings. I hope you have received them. So I have his remarks here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all familiar with the age-old saying from our parents or guardians that said, money does not grow on trees. But from where I stand today, I can assure you that money can indeed grow on trees for ecosystem restoration. So as we witness the launch of your 2022 sustainability report in a forest ecosystem called Karura, it's a good sign for us at the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. We are optimistic that the Equity Group 2023 Sustainability Report will have a dedicated section showcasing your remarkable 35 million tree initiative contribution towards our country's ambitious 15 billion trees by 2032 target. Indeed, it's great to witness the launch of Equity Group Sustainability Report. You have proven that sustainability is not just another climate action buzzword, but a crucial commitment that shapes the future of our planet. I applaud the remarkable efforts you have in your journey towards a more sustainable and responsible future. In an era where environmental challenges are more pressing than ever, it's encouraging to witness a financial institution take bold steps towards incorporating sustainability into its core values and operations. What is the connection between banks and climate action? One may ask. Well, we bank on financial institutions to ensure financial flows go into sustainable investments while avoiding investing in entities and companies engaged in environmentally destructive practices. That's the hallmark of sustainable investments because financial institutions are at the center of climate financing. When addressing climate financing, our minds may naturally turn to multilateral development banks, MDBs, and international financial institutions. We recognize the significance of your individual contributions, ranging from microfinancing to the integration of environmental and social risks into your financial strategies. Your contributions to combating climate change are truly commendable. We have several existing government-private partnerships, including tree planting and growing initiatives mentioned earlier. The smallholder irrigation program in the Mount Kenya region, Equity's collaboration with Kenya Forest Service that finances farmers on condition that they allocate at least 30% of the loan to forestry and agricultural activities, and the off-grid solar access program, COSAP, for enhancing access to clean and affordable energy and funding lighting and cooking solutions. Not to mention the significant role played by Equity in attending the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, as part of the regional private sector delegation. Your efforts inspire us all to unite and create meaningful change for the benefit of our planet and future generations. There are more partnership opportunities ahead, and I encourage you to explore applying for the Green Climate Fund. This step will unlock a greater flow of climate funds into the country. Equity has demonstrated its capability in implementing green projects with a significant positive environmental impact. Consider collaborating with counties in the financing locally led climate action program, what we call FLOCA, to further enhance climate finance flows. Additionally, don't overlook the integrated health and environment observatories and legal and institutional strengthening for the sound management of chemicals in Africa, what we call African ChemObs initiatives, as they present promising avenues for impactful collaboration. In conclusion, the sustainability report stands as a testament to our dedication and resilience in creating a positive impact in our communities and beyond. Let us seize this opportunity to learn, draw inspiration, and unite in our commitment to sustainability. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And let's once again appreciate the remarks from the ministry. Asante sana for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a quote to read here. Please listen to it keenly. That managing today helps us build tomorrow and thus bequeath a better environment to future generations. That's a quote by none other than Dr. Serili Lazare, who is here and is the head Kenya UN Environment, and he has an amazing philosophy of how the environment should be taken care of. Please put your hands together for Dr. Serili as he comes to give his remarks. Karibu sana.
Good morning, everybody. Excellency Ambassador, dear friend CEOs with your different capacities, dear friend from NEMA, I've seen some, colleagues, it's a great pleasure to be here with you this morning to this very important meeting. After the three first speakers, I'm now wondering whether I should read what I've prepared from the guidance that Joy provided me, or whether I should just reflect from what I've heard from the Daktari, responsible of sustainability within the Equity Group, or from the CEO, Dr. Mwangi, or perhaps just talk from my heart. I will not ask you which one do you prefer, but let me see if I can mix the three of those. It's my daughter who used to tell me, Daddy, it's good to write, otherwise you talk too much. So let me try not to talk too much. I think it's actually a very good opportunity that Equity Group and Equity Bank bring us together. At least let me put the timer so that I can make sure that I speak within the 15 minutes that I was requested to do. So I've heard a lot of words actually. Climate change, impact on biodiversity, empowering women, ensuring that we integrated the sustainability in our supply chains and so on. I have browsed the report that I was privileged to receive a copy. And one thought that comes in my mind was integration, interconnectedness, and really reflecting on what could mean sustainability in 2023, where we have what we are calling the triple planetary crisis that you have heard about. Climate change being one that we have heard about, biodiversity losses being the second one, and pollution. You mentioned the oxygen. I think we have all to pencil today in our calendar, because what come as a joke about paying oxygen may come through in less than a decade. And in fact, we are already paying that. If you look at the impact, the footprint that each company, like you and your report, sir, when you talk about climate change, you talk about planting trees, you talk about footprints, etc. It's include already oxygens, because without tree, we don't have oxygen, and vice versa. So the integration is already there. But how can the launch of a sustainability report like this one be an opportunity to reflect on how we integrate better? In short, how does sustainable consumption and production speak to us? There we are talking about circularity that we are all doing. We used to produce, consume, and then trash. And now we are being taught that this model is now evolved. We are not only talking about that anymore. So the sustainability, that report that you're launching today, is also milestone on that reflection. How can the next report feature the integration, meaning how the circularity, the end product, meaning the beginning of a new product? There are some amazing figures that are here in the board and other that the report also mentions, not only on gender, where you have made tremendous efforts from 40% integrating on the senior management and so on, but what the foundation is actually doing, fostering education, which means giving the capacitating the youth to go further than what we have done. So back to my conversation again with Joy, I asked her, how would the speech from the United Nations Environment Programme look like? She said, just talk about the UNEP, the mandate, and how, she said this way, how private sector can help UNEP to implement its mandate. So let me put it the other side, how UNEP can help private sector to integrate the interconnectedness, to integrate the inclusivity, and to make sure that the first step, which is the governance, help us to shape the way to the future, going through the climate change conversation. As you know, Kenya is a house. Kenya is now called globally the global environment capital, where most of conversation started. Just one example, in 2017, most of you here, we were having a conversation on how to make sure that we are not using single-use plastic bags. And some of the CEOs here, they were part of that conversation in a very futuristic and looking forward way. And I think you did not applaud that much for yourself, but you should be, when you look into that, I would not say fight or battle, but that conversation that you have had with the then Professor Juji Wakungo, another goddaughter of Professor Wangari Maathai. It was a very vibrant, dynamic conversation, but a good one, because at the end, you, private sector, you agree that if you have to be consistent in discussing about sustainability, we have to start thinking about how our way of producing and consuming should be sustainable. And I can see few CEOs here, they were part of that conversation. It wasn't an easy one, because you will recall that 2017 was the election time, and with a lot of back and forth from the parliament, pushback and so on, but finally you have made it. Why am I mentioning that example? Because by successfully banning the single-use carry bag, you kick off a conversation on how to ban PET. And that created an enabling environment to talk about how to ban plastic. And I have to congratulate this facility. You are not seeing plastic, but we have to go there. So you have made actually the member state, the United Nations Environment Programme member state discussion easy. Because 5 years after, when they start discussing how to sustain, we are still discussing about sustainability, sustainable report, how to sustain and how to beat that beat. That was easy to do. And today, or at least last year, member states agreed to ban plastic. And that has happened in Nairobi, in Kenya. So when I say I'm privileged, UNEP is privileged to be part of this conversation, is that because the private sector here are part of the innovations, and they are a few steps ahead of a lot of other private sector groups across Africa. And I think I can say it, Arif, you are the one mastering these partnership and numbers within the United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office. So I think that you can concur with me that you, private sector, you have to continue to set the tone for the conversation on sustainability. So one of the reasons why we have to be proud to be here to celebrate this sustainability report. And I'm sure that the next one would build a lot on how this interconnectedness can help the Equity Bank to move forward at the next step. And what does that next step look like? In 2023, where we are discussing about the new financial mechanism to finance climate and environment and sustainability. In 2023, where we are start producing in Africa electric car, there is a neighboring country where one of the German companies now producing electric cars, where we are being told that we should all foster renewable energy. But one of the questions that in your business model, in the way through your foundations you give loan, etc., perhaps one of the thoughts that you should, from this report, push a bit forward is an electric car is approximately for the entry model between 70 and 80,000 USD. And we know how VAT on new car is going on. So my friend from NEMA, how are we building the framework to create enabling environment for this transition to move quickly? That's my first question. And second question, would that be realistic actually for, let's say, an average citizen to project itself as a future electric car owner? Let's take the scenario of a medical doctor, 150, 200,000, a starting point for salary. It means that you have to save for almost 10 to 12 years to be able. If you assume that per month he will save 20% of his income, you have to save for between 10 and 15 years before buying that electric car. Now, what the dynamism of the population, of the youth in Kenya have demonstrated is that they are not into step-by-step action. And that because of innovation, M-Pesa tell us every day, because of this dynamism of the population, that shift not to go through all steps before being able to access the green technology is there. And what has fostered this shift into transition from what we have now to what the world is transiting to is the private sector. It's a banking sector. So back to the CEO, Dr. Mwangi, and back to you and your team. How can the Equity and the other bank that this country nurture, how can you lead in this conversation so that you can be also the one to lead in a green transition? I remember that the climate change, the climate summit would also be about green transition and green growth. I'm sure that by now you all know about the 4 pillars of the African Climate Summit. You all know where the bank will come through. But if you're still asking yourself which pillar you belong to, UNEP is it's convening a meeting on 31st, which is next Monday. If you have not received yet your invitation from KEPSA and other caucus that you belong to, that will be the same format. That will be at Panafric, where CEOs will be convened to reflect on what could be the contribution to the African Climate Summit. So this is a reflection that you can start as you read, you go through the sustainability report. Well, I will assume that this report took between 2 and 3 years to put all the elements together, Dr. Ray. I will assume that your team has been working for the last 2 years to put all these milestones together. Good. So I will also assume that as you project yourself, you have what we call the modelization. You're looking forward. I'm sure that the next one would not build from the same numbers, but you will look into your business model and see how this green transition, how the circularity, how the sustainability agenda look like. And sustainability may not only mean planting trees. I don't want to shock anybody here. But sustainability could mean, how can we measure the circularity or the transition, the green growth transition, or the integration of the circularity in our practices, in our business model? So that as we look forward in the next, that will come between 2 and 3 years from now, we start telling ourselves how many Kenyans or how many East African citizens or how many African in general have we capacitated in integrating the circularity in its own model. And from there, of course, tree planting will come in. Of course, the sound management of water will come in. Of course, we have understood that we are fully part of the three planetary crisis, that our action did not only have impact on our forests, but on biodiversity. I was discussing with one of my friends who is lecturer at Nairobi University and also invited teacher at Harvard. And he was telling me, guess what? We are part of the biodiversity. Most of the time, we might look at the biodiversity and say, oh, there are frog, there are butterfly, there are and so on. But the first element of the biodiversity is ourselves. And if, Dr. Mwangi, you want to have more butterfly, or if we want to have more butterfly back in our village, I think that we have to look at this programmatic, these questions or this problem as integrate and as interconnected. Now, back to our sustainability report with excellent figures and numbers, and I hope you will be able to share broadly the links so that even we can also use it as a baseline for the United Nations Sustainable Development Country Framework Report. The Deputy Secretary General used to tell us that we all have one agenda. And you can see that there is a common word, which is sustainable development goal. And the indicators that you have disclosed are part of the baseline that we are working towards. And every time we will meet with the president, he will always ask us, what is United Nations doing in Kenya? Or what is UNEP doing in Kenya when it comes to UNEP? And sometimes we will want to tell him, oh, the president, successfully, I don't want to be bipartisan here. Or the president, they will ask us, what is UNEP? Or UNEP is not doing enough. We are not blessed like UNDP to have figures and to have a checkbook next to us. You know, UNEP, it's mostly science, policy, and so on. So we tell the president, oh, we have influenced this, we have contributed to this, we have contributed to that, etc. And the president will tell us, that's not enough. So as I conclude, integration, interconnectedness, and the figure that the report tells us this morning, for me, it's a starting point to move towards a circularity. You're already doing enough, and these baseline are key indicators to now foster the integrations. And you're very lucky that I think that people used to say, and I think it's true, that Kenya have all type of law, and law covering very good law, by the way, also meaning good lawyers, by the way, but that the problem or that the challenge looking forward is implementation. It's very hard to hear that from a Cameroonian. But let's say that let us use this report as a baseline to guide our day-to-day actions as we foster circularity, interconnectedness, and as we all continue to implement the 17 SDGs, because the 17 SDGs cover the whole spectrum of our action, of our activity. And let us also remember that we are part of the biodiversity and be part of this global conversation that is going on. Not only looking forward to a successful climate summit where we are expected more than 8,000 people here in Nairobi with your hospitality and everything. And the last figure is that if we do not continue that circularity, integration, interconnectedness, and if nothing is done, just by taking the example of plastic, by 2050, we might still have a lot of plastic in the ocean than fishes. And the second figure is Kenya generated per year 70 million tons of plastic. It's opportunity. It's opportunity to invest on such a waste. At the same time, if you don't use it as an opportunity, it can be a threat. So again, we are very pleased to be part of this conversation, and thank you very much for inviting me and for inviting the United Nations Environment Programme. And we look forward to continue this conversation through the different programs that you're having, taking into account that we don't have planet B. I would not say we only have one planet. Now we are seeing people going, investing a lot of money to look for other planets, but for sure the one that we have is this one. And by following the step of Her Excellency's Wangai Maathai, which it's what you're doing so far, I think we are on a good path, but we have to do more by integrating sustainability in a very circularity way, and also to make sure that we measure, and you have mentioned measuring. So thank you again for listening, and good reading of the Sustainability Report. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for those remarks, and we are more than proud to even host UNEP right here in the country. So we are the heart of it all. What are we going to expect to see as highlights in that particular report? In about just 5 minutes and then the launch, we're going to have the Group Director Sustainability Equity Group Holdings, Rashma Shah, come and briefly just let us know what to expect. A round of applause to her as she comes.
Good morning, everyone, and it's really good to see the view that everyone's been talking about over here. So as the slides go up, I'll just start, because I think my job's been made very easy with everybody who's been speaking earlier in terms of the sustainability report. But I just want to give you a taste or a feel of what you'll get, and the reports are available today for you as well. The key thing is here, a lot of people when they're launching the sustainability report, they're talking about sustainability as they started. I think the key thing you'll see with equity, it's not a start. We're documenting what's already been done, and we're continuing with that journey. And I think that's a key thing that I wanted to raise. The key thing about it is it really comes in from our, okay, I can't get the slides to move maybe? Yep. It comes in from our philosophies. We talked about the definition of sustainability, we talked about people, we talked about the environment, but really the philosophy is about lives. And when we talked about the fact that environment leads to oxygen, you can't have lives. And really this is what I hope you'll see when you read the sustainability report, the way we look at sustainability, the way we define sustainability at Equity, it comes from the root of people. And everything linked to people, whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it's environment, whether it's their socio-economic health as well, all those become our lives. You will also see a bit more around our twin engine model and really how we have a very strong foundation, we have a very strong social element, we're now building on the environmental and how that links into our commercial as well. The Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan that's been talked about in quite a bit of detail earlier as well. The key pillar from underpinning this sustainability is Pillar 5, which is our social and environmental transformation pillar. But it doesn't stand on its own. It's so embedded within the other pillars that we can't really separate out sustainability from those elements. And we've tried to explain that in the report as well. But the key thing I hope you'll see, and this comes to the element of also integration and connecting the dots, is our four-pronged approach to sustainability. It is about transforming the lives of our people, socially and economically. A big part of that is what our Equity Group Foundation is doing. But it is also about driving sustainable finance. And this is the youth, women, MSMEs, and also in terms of our clients on environmental impacts. I'm not going to go through all the data points. There's a lot of data points in the report, but you will see there a substantial amount of money is going into sustainable finance. There we're looking at not just in terms of climate mitigation that a lot of people are looking at, but also climate adaptation and resilience being a key part of that. The other third approach is our risk management, and we've enhanced our risk management to assist our clients to really identify the environmental and social risks that they're bearing and where we can help them with that. This is how we can really extend the impact of sustainability. And the fourth one, and we talked about, throwing stones when you're living in glass houses, really it's about ourselves and our own operations and our suppliers. So that is sustainability for us. This is something I just want to touch on, and it's our ESG materiality matters. And to be honest, when we were asked to do this, and it's a requirement from a lot of the standards, it was a struggle. And why it was a struggle was what you talked about, the interconnectivity of the whole thing, the integration. We could not really separate out the topics. They were all talking to each other, but we tried to differentiate between the concentrated impact and the high priority. And really, I wanted to highlight that the concentrated impacts were around the value to society and climate change. I'd like to just leave it there with just one last word, and I won't go through all the highlights, is that this report has been prepared in accordance with the global reporting initiative that's required by the NSC, but it's also been prepared in accordance with the task force for climate-related financial disclosures required by the CBK. And it was a very interesting exercise for us because it helped us to really capture the things we've been doing around aspects of governance, around aspects of strategy, around aspects of risk management, as well as the matrix and targets. You'll see a lot more in this, in the highlights that are there, and in the report itself, and I very much look forward to the feedback and comments we'll get back, and for the next more integrated version as well going forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I've requested Reshma not to leave the stage or go too far, because at this moment I want to request Daktari to kindly come. And I also want to, at this moment, to as well invite Dr. Lazare to kindly come on stage. And also in the house, the banking industry is represented by Dr. Habil. I saw him somewhere around. If you could kindly come as well. Oh, please come as well. Join Daktari here. And we also have John, kindly, representing the ministry. And of course, the board chair, Dr. Helen. Please come. We want to have an amazing launch of this particular initiative. And I want to draw our attentions all to the screens because we are a bit sustainable on these matters. So the launch is happening virtually on the screen, and thereafter something nice shall be. So in a style, gentlemen and ladies, I want us to look in that particular direction. I forgot to call one more name. The UN Global Compact Kenya is represented by the CEO here. I want to request Judy to kindly come as well. Come and join this eminent persons on stage as we all look to the screens. If this is too far from you or a pillar is right here blocking you, we have some other screens on the sides for this particular purpose. So ladies and gentlemen, the technical team, we are ready for the launch. Everybody's going to grab one, and journalists in the house, photographers, get ready for this moment as we each get one. And I want to request that we put our best smiles up, so that at least we can take these particular pictures. The photographers are guiding us on this. Would you like them to face you? Okay, let me move my podium back a bit. There you go. The photographers are discussing who has the longest lens. It's okay. Once you have it, please go. Sorry? I hear there's someone who's not, okay, great. Yeah, please peruse through, have a discussion. Maybe at this moment you can discuss how colorful it is. This is very good. This is very good. I think that's it. But just before you go, check 1, 2. All right, I've been requested to do a bit of, I understand the newspaper guy says this is something different. So John, if you could kindly come closer. I understand the lighting was not hitting you well. So please kindly come to the middle, right here at the center, and join Daktari. Daktari as well, they've been requested to come to the center. I'm only a messenger. So Daktari, right here, next to Professor, right there, yes. There you go. So one more round of photos, just looking in. I think we start with the discussion. We start with the posing. So kindly show the report. There you go. Admire it. Smile at the cameras as well. There you go. Is that it? The final instruction is that now, please, could you peruse through in twos at least? Yes. I think Daktari, I want you to be with the ladies here. Let's look at it. There you go. That's very good. There you go. Yeah, colorful, beautiful. Oh goodness, you guys will look at it. Thank you so much. I think that's it. Let's appreciate them with a clap. Asante sana. Beautiful. You may have your seats, but I want to request Daktari to kindly, in this interesting moment, to have a discussion on Q&A. We want to open the forum for anybody with a question or so. And Daktari, I want to give you the mic.
Thank you very much. As we invite the guests to take their seat,
yes.
It will be important to give you an opportunity to interact with this report. So I'll ask maybe Dr. Helen Geshohi, Professor Macharia, Leshma, Sisiri, maybe Sisiri, if you could take a seat and take 1 or 2 questions, then we will have given our invited guest an opportunity to interact with the report. Yeah. As Dr. Helen Geshaw, he leads us in matters and environment. Professor Macharia, who is professor of medicine, leads with the space of health. And I'm sure you know Equity Group Foundation's franchise, Equity Afia, is now the largest health franchise in Eastern Central Africa. It's simply because each of them. So take your seat, and I will invite our guest, if you have a question, then we can throw it quickly. Broadly to, we know Leshma is the technical lead in the bank. She's the expert in this matter. Essentially, we know he leads the UN resident UNEP. Health and Environment, Professor Macharia, Health. And I can deal with the farmers and wings to fry. And of course, clean energy devices, which the owners of those pillars are among us. The first question? Wow. Oh, very good. And point to the question directly. That's why I introduced them.
My name is Clifford Machoka, Head of External Affairs Nation Media Group, and first of all is to really congratulate you on this journey that you've taken. My question is, not sure to which panel, but maybe Reshma. One of the things that we are seeing in sustainability is the power of partnerships and collaboration. And we know that this journey, we cannot undertake it ourselves, either as Equity or any other organizations. What is Equity doing in terms of bringing together other like-minded organizations in building an alliance, either in the agricultural sector or in different sectors, so that we start not only moving this journey together, but we also bring more people on board? Thank you.
Do you want to take it or I throw it to somebody else?
I can start.
Very good. Dr. Joan, where are you? It's about the principles. Take the mic. Continue.
So what is Equity doing about that? And again, here, the core is not on looking at sustainability in isolation. So through the Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan, what we're doing is we're looking at value chain, if you're talking about agriculture, we're looking at where the gaps are in that, we're then bringing in who the right players are as part of that. It's forums like this that also create that awareness on where the missing parts are. We're talking with all our existing partners as well, in terms of where they fit into that. There are a number of programs that I'm sure Dr. Joanne can talk about them in a lot more detail that we've brought into it. And including that, there's a number of other international organization alliances that we're also working with.
Bernie Crawford, Equity Group Foundation is a platform for collaboration. And to ensure it is institutionalized, we have created 8, you can come in front, 8 principles upon which collaboration is done. And I will ask Dr. Joan maybe to step up. And Dr. Joan Kolil, a medical doctor who runs Equity Afia day to day, also oversees the foundation operation.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, so Equity Group Foundation's work is driving the S component of the ESG, and you've heard we've been able to do a lot on the social components, but we wouldn't have been able to do this without partnerships. We have 8 principles that guide the work that we do, which drive the type of programs that we get into, so the what, and then how we implement those programs, and then also perhaps with whom. So on the what type of programs, we look into programs that promise scalability and sustainability, and those would be the first and second principles that we look at. We also are very careful to mitigate risk in all elements of it. So we look at perhaps environmental risk, reputational risk, all frameworks perhaps of risk would be the common components that we look at. We also implement programs that are within the capacity of the wider Equity Group. And you know, as a financial services provider, we have various subsidiaries, not just within banking, we have the insurance, all the various subsidiaries within Equity Group.
Ideally, we make the entire equity commercial infrastructure to be at the disposal of the foundation and the partners for free. So the 13,000 employees of Equity do pro bono work for the foundation. Anything that the staff do, they do it for free. So the foundation doesn't have to employ people. The infrastructure, I think now 400 or so branches in the region, they execute the work of the foundation for free. The IT systems for free. 2% of revenue for free. So the foundation uses the dead capital. It doesn't have to invest. It doesn't, so you can have 100% return on equity because you have no administrative cost. They are taken up by the banking group.
So that's principle number 5 on aligning with the group's business model and implementing using the infrastructure of the group as principle number 6. Principle number 7 is on a seeding model. When we speak about the capacity of the work that we're able to execute as Equity, and we look at our annual budgets and how much we're passing in social impact work, annually we now have a budget of around $70 million, but each and every one of our programs started using a seeding model. A very good example is Equity Afia, which currently stands at 87 facilities as we speak, but started through a seeding model via support from Equity Bank and USAID, for example. Our scholarships program, Swimming to Fly, is also another very good example of that. Our 8th principle, which is the last one, is on bringing all hands to the deck. And I think it's very clearly depicted, even just looking at the crowd today, on partnerships. How can we ensure that we're able to jointly escalate our efforts so that we don't have much of replication, but more of partnerships, collaboration to strengthen, widen, and even increase the depth of the work that we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. John. The next question. Yeah, very good. 2 questions. Give them the mic. We ask them. And then
Thank you so much, Dr. James. I'm Patrick Nyangweso, the CEO of Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. First of all, I want to really thank you for really reaching out to small-scale farmers, especially in Kenya, to do capacity building on the climate-smart agriculture. But as you are aware, the upcoming Africa Climate Summit, one of the pillars is driving green green growth through financing and also supporting this in Africa. One of the things that people are really crumbling to understand is how do we really grab the opportunities within the CFTA? How is equity positioning itself to really support so that Kenya would continue to be the hub of Africa through green, smart climate settings? Thank you.
Thank you. The second question, by Mike here. Is there another third question we ask all of them together?
Thank you very much, Dr. Terry, and hearty congratulations to the Equity Group on this second sustainability report. My name is Kuria Waitaka from the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Please receive warm greetings and regards and congratulations from the board and management. And actually, I do have my vice chairman here, Mr. Paul Moy, but I will make a few remarks on behalf of the NSC and a question as well. We're glad you're doing this because, as was mentioned even by Reshma, that this is part, and even by Dr. Helen Shai, that it's part of the reporting infrastructure. And again, this should be really voluntary in as much as we don't want to make it mandatory. But we're glad that you're there into the NSC ESG disclosures guidance manual, and you're actually ahead of the pack and ahead of the curve, and for that, we congratulate you. I had a question regarding the SDGs. There are 17 SDGs. I have not had a chance to peruse the report, but I want to know what is Equity's philosophy and approach to how to implement the SDGs, because we know there are 17. You can't really do all of them. It's one step at a time. What are the key, maybe 5 or so that you focus on, and how are they integrated into your operations and business, and how you engage with your stakeholders? Thank you.
Very good. Leshma, do you want to, how we have mapped the 17 SDGs around the operations of the bank so that they can be implemented? And then Florence, where are you on this agriculture? Take the mic and also deal with this very technical question. So we start with Reshma.
So 17 SDGs, yes, quite a long number. But when you actually look at the report, we've actually mapped every single one of those SDGs to the initiatives that we're doing. They are, we do look at where our key strengths are. So, for example, what we're doing around agriculture, no hunger, what we're doing around youth, partnership is a big one. And we have looked at others where we probably don't have or haven't had the strength in the past, and how can we strengthen it? So life underwater, for example, life under sea, we've now got a blue economy division that's particularly looking at that beyond just sustainability. So we have looked at each of the SDGs, mapped to what we have our strength. A big part of the map to the foundation pillars already. And you will see, and it's there's quite a spread from page 83 on there that looks at each. But what we didn't try and do there is just summarize what we've done. We've also included there our strategic approach, because it was important for us for people to understand that, so they could see where to even connect with us on some of those SDGs. But I think, sir, there was something you wanted to add as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the way we have to look at the SDGs, at least from the United Nations country team perspective, which I have, and thank you very much for sharing your time with me. I think that this is also an opportunity for us to also share what UNEP and the UN family is doing in Kenya, so that you can know how to engage with us. And the previous questions, or the first one, was on partnership, which is the SDG 17. You have one of the experts in this room. He used to work with the Equity Bank. I will ask him to kindly take the floor, Arif, to tell us how you can engage and how the integration of the 17 SDGs work. Arif, can you please come in for a few minutes? Please, just to tell us about that platform. Tell us about the UN. Tell us about the UN platform on, on partnership and how, foundation like Equity Foundation and others can really engage with us. Thank you.
And how we have integrated the two platforms.
Yes.
Alif.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Mwangi and the whole Equity team for inviting the United Nations team here, and delighted that Cyril was able to also make time to speak. So we have at the United Nations a 4-year framework partnership with the government of Kenya, about $1.8 billion, not fully funded for the next 4 years, which is essentially people and peace and planet and prosperity. Those are the two strategic areas that we're going to focus on. And there is a platform at the foundational level which we call a strategic enabler, which is partnerships. And why partnerships? Because for the last 9 years I've been running an SDG partnership platform at the UN, and this was really about convening, catalyzing and connecting partnerships, particularly on financing and investments. What we found was that in the last framework, most of the partners that the UN worked with and the government worked with required a much deeper set of partnerships with private sector, particularly, but also with philanthropy. You ended up with very transactional partnerships. It was about, let's have lunch and ask for private sector to open their wallets between main course and dessert. That's not a deeper partnership. And so now we've created a whole slew of platforms, foundations. I even chair Impact Investing Kenya, which is a network of financing associations across Kenya. The Bankers Association, the East Africa Venture Capital Private Equity Association, philanthropy, pensions, etc., etc. So when it comes to partnerships, what we are looking at is trying to find the opportunities to help foresighted institutions like Equity to really integrate with many of the other multi-stakeholder partners we have around us. And when the partnership platform was launched, the comment from the government of Kenya at the United Nations General Assembly was to say, we don't just need pledges of partnerships that you have at every conference. We need a concrete ecosystem on the ground. How does a bank, a UN agency, an NGO, an investor, civil society organization, a county, how do you all get together and get behind a very concrete investment? And why investment? Because this is about getting beyond short-term grant and fiscal and political cycles. We need initiatives that will last 100 years. We don't need short-term pilots that die as soon as grant funding will die. So for us, it's very important to really help ride this transition from SDG funding to financing, as Kenya, as an emerging middle-income country, moves to see shrinking ODA, shrinking grants, and needs to really think about how we sustain our impact. So partnerships is absolutely in the DNA of everything we need to do. And I think I'm really delighted with Dr. Mwangi and team that we've created a very formal and a very productive and high potential partnerships between the entire UN agencies, 24 agencies, funds and programs, 2 global head offices, UNEP, UN Habitat, with the Equity Bank Group. So we would be delighted to work with any of you who are interested, and you could, be in touch with us. You could be in touch with Joy and team at the Equity Bank Group to see how we can integrate into over 17 joint programs that are emerging around people and peace and planet and prosperity. Let me stop there. Thank you.
From funding to financing, so that is scalable and sustainable. That is the ultimate. Yeah, Florence, please.
Thank you very much and good morning all. So on the question of smallholder financing, and essentially we call it food and agriculture, one, as you have seen in the report, is that we have underpinned our strategy and especially the African Resilience and Recovery Plan with food and agriculture as one of the sectors and the strategic sectors that we will support and we have been supporting. And essentially it's supporting the smallholder farmers, right from capacitating them and anchoring them into all the value chain and value chain actors, linking them to markets, linking them to affordable inputs, linking them to good agricultural practices so that they are sustainable. And as we do, as we have said, we do from the foundation also, is to drive a transformative agenda so that it can be sustainable. We know farmers by themselves will need a lot of support and a lot of encourage. And what we do is also to sustain the investments through the commercial models. We begin with small loans and we continue to enhance it. And so we've been working on irrigation projects, for example. We've been working on good agricultural practices and climate smart agriculture, conservation agriculture, and we have worked with very many partners. And it's also a call for many more partnerships that we can build from these, partnerships together and from arrangements such as this.
And to have impact significantly, what we have moved to breaded finance. If you look like we have done 24 irrigation schemes with KfW, or the German Development Agency. So 50% of it is commercial financing, and then 50% is a donor grant for infrastructure. And that makes it possible for the small-scale farmers to own an irrigation scheme and to implement itself. Then there is a component of capacitation where we have MasterCard Foundation saying, let's enhance the knowledge and skills of the farmers in terms of training. And lastly, for the small, very small farmers, MasterCard has come and said, can we do credit risk sharing through credit guarantees? So that kind of breaded finance is enabling the small-scale farmers to grow and to migrate to sustainable agro-businesses. Very good, very good. Mike here. Any other last question? Very good. Oh, gosh. I wish I had not said the last. Very good.
Very good morning.
So right to the question, we'll ask the 4 questions and you take the one.
Try to make it quick. Very good morning. My name is Anja Steiner. I'm heading here the DG office in Kenya. As Dr. Mangi just said, KfW, DG, we are long-term partners in the foundation, but also with Equity Bank. We are very proud. Within this partnership, we also started last year a pilot project on climate impact CO2 measurement. And my question would be, what were the biggest hurdles starting this process? What could we improve and how could we support you further to make it even bigger success? Thanks.
Very good. Second question. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, congratulations to the Equity team. Excellent job. My name is Nasra Nanda. I'm the CEO at the Kenya Green Building Society and the Green Buildings lead at the Africa Climate Summit. The question I have for the bank is, what's your expectation as a financial player in terms of an outcome that you want from the Africa Climate Summit? Thank you.
Very good. That is Helen.
Good morning and congratulations to Equity Bank for all the work that you're doing. My name is Award Dorothy Otieno, a clean cooking entrepreneur from Homa Bay. I have one question and I would like to ask, how can Equity Bank come in to help the clean cooking sector to create the awareness of the importance of adopting clean cooking solutions so that we can all contribute to this discussion of today and to the launch of this group, Equity Group Sustainability? How much is Equity Bank doing to bring stories around clean cooking of women, their contribution, so that you can help us to create that awareness and make more people adopt these solutions? Thank you very much.
Eric Naivasha, that sounds like your question. And the last one? Sorry. Last but one.
Good morning, all. My name is Musa, DRC Embassy. My question, outside the bank, the Equity Group contain how many institutions? Outside the bank, the Equity Group contain how many institutions?
Okay. Professor Macharia. Outside the bank, how many institutions constitute the group? Was there any other question? I think we can answer those and appreciate. Reshma, you want to go far?
So the study that we were talking about, and you'll see that in the report, it's in quite a bit of detail there. What we did is, for our Kenya subsidiary, we did a portfolio analysis from a climate risk perspective to understand how our portfolio looked like in the different sectors, both from a physical and transactional risk perspective. The challenges that we faced is a lot of the models for climate change have a very long horizon. So short term is 30 to 40 years, which when you're looking at it from a banking perspective, a lot of our loans are less than 10 years. So it gives you a problem in the horizon, so you can't effectively look at where the risks are. The other thing that we found, and we actually worked beyond the study to work on this, is it gives you a static point. And our portfolios are changing and moving, and we needed something that would help us understand how we integrate what we were finding into strategy. Let me give you a very quick example. We want to grow our agricultural loan book to 30%. Anybody who knows from a climate risk perspective, that will flash red lights. But that's not a reason to walk away from it. That's a reason to find solutions like regenerative farming. So that's where we went further into that tool to design a tool that we can now use as part of our risk assessments. So if the big challenges, I would say, is time horizon, localized data is a big one for us, and then moving it into real time. The other thing that we're doing now, in addition to transactional level, we're also looking at portfolio level scenario analysis, so that if anything changes in the climate, we can quickly run a scenario analysis, and that will help us. So those are some of the evolutions that came from that work that we did with the DEG team.
Thank you very much. Eric, you didn't pick the mic. Very good.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I think in terms of awareness creation, we've done a number of things. One is we are leveraging the infrastructure of the bank. So if you go to most of our branches, you find the clean cooking products being displayed in branches, so that when customers are coming, are able to interact with them, are able to ask questions. The second thing is to create a special loan product, which you are now digitizing, so that on your phone or your tablet, you're able to access these products. The other thing is on co-branding. We are developing materials, and I know we are doing something with you as well, where we are co-branding marketing materials that are available in our agent locations. They are available in our branches. Then the fourth thing, we have also gone to mainstream media, and you've seen us, on TV talking about clean cooking in schools, in households, the importance of transitioning. We are calculating the carbon credits that we are generating from that. So there are many channels that we're able to partner with all the clean cooking organizations. And I know General Impact, we onboarded you as well 5 months ago, doing very good. Congratulations on your electric cooking, which now you have demonstrated to us that it is cheaper to cook with electricity than LPG. And that is what we are promoting in Homa Bay with you as well. So there are many aspects that we are, many channels that we can engage on. Thank you very much.
Eric is one of our unsung heroes. He's the one who has led us to plant the 22.8 million trees in a period of 3 years. He has ensured 560 households have moved from fossil fuel or firewood to clean energy device use. But we celebrate him most for converting nearly 1,000 schools from using firewood to using clean energy or transition energy. And that has been a bit, so thank you very much, Eric. But you can do more.
With all these partners, thank you.
With us, Helen?
Yes, I think the question was on expectations on the climate summit that will be held here in Kenya. I think, as you are aware, one, I think it's good that these climate conferences are coming to Africa, because we get more people to participate and lobby on behalf of the continent and what the continent wishes to see from those the meeting of parties. It's clear, particularly, that Africa has the least emissions, but is struggling the most from the impacts of climate change. And I think our inability to adapt at a speed at which things are changing, the extent to which poverty levels on our continent make it difficult for us to adapt, is one thing that has been discussed, but the financing around adaptation has still not been delivered in ways that is accessible, predictable, and at a scale that is needed. So we are hoping, and I hear my colleague here nodding, saying here, that, and I think the UN systems were more engaged, that there can be much more commitment, there can be more specific commitments to financing of adaptation, because that's what Africa is struggling with as the lowest emitter, but the continent that's most dependent on natural resources that are going to be affected by the changes in climate. I think the second thing I would say is that we have had very, very many meetings of parties, but there are a lot of countries that have not signed off on their own emissions. And I think as we fail to make commitments on emission reductions, it means a lot of what we're doing is really just holding off on a train smash that is still on the way. And we hope that as parties continue to have greater engagement, that those commitments will be made. In the last meeting, there was commitment to loss and damage, and maybe you can talk a little bit about it. I am not aware that the instruments for doing it, the financing for doing it, have been agreed, and that the systems for raising and finding that funding and deploying it have also been found. And I think the national mechanisms, I think, for evaluating and determining what loss and damage actually means and how it gets supported has been done. So I think for Africa, we have many issues. As the least, the lowest emitter, we're also suffering the most. And I think the struggles for us to just get financing, to get the capacity, to get the support we need across the board in agriculture, in financing of transitions. Africa can leapfrog, as we did with our technology, instead of using dirty fuels, to go into clean fuels. But I think a lot of the investment that are needed, we cannot finance them ourselves. Hopefully some of these summits also will be looking at financing of some of those transitions so that we can leapfrog the continent and prevent it from becoming a net emitter as it also walks on its own development journey. Thank you.
And because of what Helen has said, we can't do it alone, we can't finance alone. Let me ask Joy, our group director of communication, just to highlight the partnerships we have brought on board so that we can actively participate, both in the Nairobi summit and in the COP28.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for being here, because you are all of our partners as well, and we're grateful for that collaboration together. But we can't do it alone. So what we've been doing, especially in reference to the Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan, is we have been making agreements and partnerships with the likes of the United Nations, with the AFCFTA, with the EAC, with SADC, with COMESA. In particular, COP28, we have been working with the UAE government under a program that they have called the UICCA, which is a climate change accelerator. And we've been working with them on a particular program on Africa progress on the climate space. We do hope that we can work closely with UNEP. We are also working with the Secretariat for the AU Climate Summit that will take place here in September, as well as the AGRIF Food Systems Forum that will take place as well. So we really do need all of your partnership to collaborate with, and we do hope that we can reach out to you and move forward together.
And the last question was to Professor Macharia from Embassy of DLC.
Thank you very much. In the last couple of months, we have reorganized the group to be much more efficient, to be able to scale up in the other sectors that we are involved in. And we have the equity group holdings, which is the overall non-operating company. And under this, we have the banking group, which has banking subsidiaries across the region. We have 6 banking subsidiaries, and we have also an investment bank under this group. Then we have our insurance group, which is fast growing. And in our insurance group, we have Equity Life Assurance Kenya. Then we have General Insurance and a Health Insurance group. Then we have the Equity Group Foundation. We have heard a lot about the Equity Group Foundation. We have recently formed an Equity Technology Group, and the purpose of this group is to drive our technology, our advances, our digitalization, and because we realized that we are really relying so much on technology that we must develop our in-house capabilities to power our operations and to improve our efficiency. So that is really the other areas in which Equity Group is involved in. The banking group has been the flagship group, but I must tell you that the other groups are coming on very fast, growing very fast, and our intention is to leverage on our experience from the banking group and become very impactful in whichever sector we enter. Thank you.
Again, to give color to that perspective, the group is in 6 countries. That is DRC, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, South Sudan, and Kenya, and has a rep office in Ethiopia. It has a balance sheet or total asset of approximately 1.7 trillion shillings, making it the largest balance sheet asset-based company in the region. Just before I hand over to our Master of Ceremony,
Dr. Mwangi, I have 3 quick points just to echo what my other colleagues say. Very, very short. First of all, this is a fantastic product. So please make sure that you have a demo booth or publication booth at the African Climate Summit to really share the outcome of this report, and also give the chance to other colleagues who will be coming at least from the 3 countries, if not from the 54 countries, to really see the example that you have been setting, working with community, promoting and developing wealth. That's my first point. The second one, there is a very important conversation that is speaking here. Dr. Mwangi and Professor Machera is the one on loss and damages. You will recall, for those who attend the last conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, that very serious conversation came on, are we supporting countries like the DRC using the natural resources to develop wealth and promote and implement the SDGs, or we are asking them to play sustainability and not to touch into it and be on the international market to beg for money. I think that this conversation on loss and damage would be very important. It's not part of the pillar currently, but by coming and have these conversations, you can influence the conversation that will take place there. Remember that the United Nations are convener. We don't have power. We only have a say when the private sector, when publics, where individuals, where the civil society come very strongly and raise the voice, and then we make it happen. So please make sure that you have your say during this meeting, but perhaps we can continue this conversation next Monday, so that by the time we reach the summit, that we already know approximately what to do. Last point on partnership and collaboration. You are at the forefront, actually, among the banking institutions. So, team with the United Nations, let us implement this cooperation framework together, and by doing so, rally and bring other entities on board, development partners, other banking institutions, community-based, like those doing the EcoFuel, to really make sure that we are on the same when it comes to the SDGs. So I think I will stop here, and thank you very much, and congratulations for the chairman, Professor
Macharia.
Yeah, Professor Macharia, and then Dr. Mwangi. Congratulations for leading your group and for setting the scene to have this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Lastly, we have talked a lot about partnership and collaborations. With me here is our foundation finance director. I just want to really applaud her on this very special day, because since we started publishing audited accounts in 2008, we have never had a management letter, audit management letter. Price Waterhouse, and before then, Ernst & Young has never raised an issue of how our management of the foundation can ever be improved. I've been in banking for 35 years. I've never missed an audit management letter. But that tells you, we didn't speak a lot about governance, but equity is a creation of governance and best practices. At one time, USAID doubted and said, you can't, I think it was the 9th year, you can't say you have never. So they said, we'll bring international auditors. Out of 5, we were given 4.99. They said they have never seen that anywhere in the world. I think MasterCard Foundation repeated, they also got 4.99. DFID repeated 4.99. So that's the assurance we can give you. You don't need to bother when you partner with us. That's his equity. We'll take care of the funds, we'll take care of the project, and we'll deliver on. And I want to say that's why we have a budget of $70 million every year, because partnerships have faith and confidence. Allow me to request you, we put our hearts together for Penny. The power of one. Lastly, Clifford, the 2 ladies sitting beside you, one is our chief economist, maybe you could start. The next one is our managing director in the equity insurance business. And they asked, I don't know whether they have whispered it, you what they have whispered me, that you have misrepresented them on page 3 of the business daily. Okay, I've whispered to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's appreciate our panelists and Dr. as well for the moderation. Thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this debate. As our guests take their seats, please take your seats. As they take their seats, we're going to quickly just have a brief appreciation for some of our guests with some gift hampers, and everybody in the house is going to go with something, so which is good, and it's a way of also appreciating what has been happening. So I want to request Dr. please come right back, because we want to award some of this, and I want to request Vimal to be the first one to be awarded. He has been very patient and really, yes, Dr. is going to award you right here. So photographers, please, if you could kindly get ready ASAP so that we can get ready. So, thank you. Vimal is going to be giving it, and then I want to request Habil as well to kindly follow Vimal. We want to appreciate you with something that is equity-like, sustainable gifts here. I want to request as well Dr. Lazare to be next after Habil. There you go. Habil, kindly come as well and receive that. And of course, Dr. Lazare as well, kindly receive. I want to request John Langata as well to kindly come representing the ministry. And we also have in the house as well, we have the Rwanda High Commissioner in the house. A round of applause to her. She has been as well around. Please kindly come as well and receive this equity gift hamper courtesy. In the house as well, we have the NSC Vice Chair in the house, Paul Moy, to kindly come as well. Let's appreciate you. And of course, Judy, kindly come and receive this on behalf of the UN Global Compact. And we appreciate you for coming as well. Paul, kindly receive that gift. Thank you so much. And we have Judy as well, UN Global Compact. Excellent. And of course, one final one, if you could kindly receive that for the sake of, we are equity, so we have to balance all these things very well. Everybody in the house is going to go with a gift bag, and inside it we have some amazing things that you can open, especially when you get home. The reason why I'm saying once you get home is because we are in a forest, and chances are you might use it here. So at home it's easier when it's there. I can give you a tidbit of what is inside. There'll be some seed balls that you can go and plant. And by the way, you don't need to do anything on that seed ball. Just throw it somewhere where there is soil. Of course, not on tarmac or anything else. It will grow by itself. It has been well done, well prepared for that purpose. And as you heard, Naivasha will be very happy if you can plant that, right? Excellent. To improve from the millions they have planted to more. So you can make that possible. Once again, thank you so much. And before I end this session, I want to request Bishop Dr. Charles Kareke to be coming. And as he comes, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to break protocol. And the protocol is that I didn't come alone. I came with hope. Hope, please wave. Hope is already here. You know, faith is evidence of things hoped for. And my hope is this, that we shall be sustainable champions everywhere we go. And this shall not just be a report launch, but continuously embracing this. Thank you so much, Bishop Tafadhali. Oh yeah, and just before Bishop comes, I just got alerted that Professor Isaac wanted to say asante to all of us. So let's appreciate Professor Isaac as he comes as well to give this brief. Thank you. Thank you. I almost forgot that.
Thank you. You are forgiven for forgetting. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Equity Group Board, I just want to say thank you first to all of you for braving the cold of Karura Forest on a Monday morning when many of us would have preferred to be first in our offices to start the week. We really feel privileged. I want to say that when we launched our first sustainability report, we did it quietly. When launching our second sustainability report, we realized that sustainability is in our DNA. We have shouted from the rooftops about our financial services, and we realized we needed to do the same as we launched this sustainability report. A lot of you are here because you identify with the cause. I'm sure most of you are not here because you know that Equity gives a good breakfast during a meeting. That as it may be, we count on each one of you. We have realized, and it has been emphasized this morning, that it is possible for all of us to do well while we are doing good. Many people look at financial services and banking as extractive. But we have to stop behaving like the tick that keeps sucking. I don't mean banking, I mean all of us. The tick that keeps sucking even as the cow is dying. Because if we don't change our ways, that is what we'll do to this good earth. Each one of us here today is called upon to join Equity Group in our commitment to walk the talk of climate action. The reason why we also took the step of launching this report this way is because we want to put ourselves there. We want to be accountable for the promises that we are making. Because we have shouted, this is what we have done. And I think Dr. Lazal has said this is like a baseline so that next year, when we launch our third report, you will have the baseline to judge us on what have we done. So we are challenging ourselves as a group. We are setting very high standards for ourselves, and we are asking you to challenge yourselves, each in whichever sector you are working. Let me now just turn to maybe just mention a few people, a few institutions that I would like to mention this morning. Not that they are the only one, but I want to start by our guests I want to start by thanking Mr. John Elungata, who represented the PS. We are very, very grateful. We are working very closely with the Ministry of Environment and Climate. I want to thank Dr. Lazare, UNEP representative or coordinator for Kenya, for being with us. I want to thank all the other speakers this morning because they really have made our days. They have helped us gain a greater insight into the issue of sustainability. At Equity Bank, sustainability is part of our DNA. It's only that because language has developed that has enabled us now to plug into global, the global lingua franca of sustainability. So we now feel we can tell our story. We didn't have the words previously to tell our story, as you can see from that board. That board, the story we are telling, is not a story of 3 years. It's a story of more than 35 years. I want to thank the government of Kenya and the Ministry of Environment because they have prioritized the agenda of climate change. They have provided us with the environment within which we can, as a country and at our own individual levels, play our rightful role. I want to thank our investors and strategic partners who have given us the support, the impetus, and have helped us deliver on our objectives on sustainability. I want to especially today thank our customers, the members of Equity Bank. They are the ones that have enabled us to be where we are because they had trust in us. They have trusted us for many years. They have been our best ambassadors out there in the market. Board members of Equity Group, Equity subsidiaries, and the management for the leadership that they have shown this area. And I want especially to laud the sustainability team led by Leshma. This team has been put together in the last 2 years, and you can see what phenomenal work they have been able to do in that short time. Of course, a very special word to Dr. Helen, who has provided leadership from the board level, and we are very lucky because Dr. Helen has been with Equity Group for many years as the founding director of the Equity Group Foundation. So she set the foundation for our sustainability agenda. And all the other departments in Equity, because we have realized that sustainability is not a department or a function. It is an integrated, it's an integrated approach that involves our strategy, our commercial, our credit, communication, procurement teams. And all these facilities have played a great role to place us where we are. Thank you, Liver Cafe, for staff and management for allowing us to host this event here. It is a very symbolic moment for us, and we chose this place very, very purposely because we wanted to send a message. I don't know how many of you have noted this morning that of all the questions that were answered, 90% were answered by women. It is not an accident. It is because we at Equity understand nurturing very well. And you know, if you want something to be nurtured, to be developed, to be grown, give it to a woman. And we have done that and given the right people for us. To all of you, to those that I have not mentioned specifically, please do understand that we really appreciate you. We appreciate your partnership. We appreciate your friendship. We we appreciate you as customers, those of you who are our customers. And we promise that we will walk with you. Maybe I want to use the phrase of my favorite football team, you shall never walk alone, as long as equity is there. As we leave this morning, I want to invite you to make sure that you do take a token of appreciation, and in that token, you'll find the sustainability report. None other than Dr. Laval has said that this is a very well-written report. And if he wants us to give it to 54 member states of the African Union, you who has been here at the lounge should make sure that you peruse through that report. So thank you very much and have a very good Monday, and may you have a great week ahead. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, that marks the end of the function today, this auspicious launch. But before then, we're going to end with a prayer. And I want to request Bishop Dr. Charles to kindly come and pray with us.
Yeah, thank you once again. And we would want to close with a word of prayer. Kindly let us pray. Father, we thank you and bless you once again. We want to bless your holy name for the wonderful meeting that we have had here today. And we want to thank you for the peace and the presence which is so divine that has made us have such a wonderful meeting. We thank you for the sustainability report, and we thank you for what has been achieved. This has been a shared responsibility, and we want to thank you for all that have participated. We thank you for all our guests who came today. Thank you, Lord. We pray that may you bless them and bless all that you have entrusted them to do in this world for the glory of your name. We want to thank you as we move forward, how we pray that you may graciously bless us to do even more, that we may give you glory as we advance our sustainability efforts to make this world a better place. You placed man on earth to keep the earth, and therefore sustainability is a must. How we pray that you endow us with your divine ability, that we may do it and do it even better. As we move on, we pray that, Lord, may you give us a very successful day, all of us, as we go to our various destinations. May you go with us, and may you help us to do what awaits us, that we may have a successful day. We bless you and we thank you for this. We pray in Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, ladies and
My name is Virginia Itonga, the principal Alliance Girls High School, a national school, one of the first 18 national. My name is Virginia Itonga, the principal Alliance Girls High School, a national school, one of the first 18 national schools. It's situated in Thogoto, Kikuyu sub-county. We were invited for a launch at Alliance High School, where we met Equity Bank, which had sponsored Alliance High School. A good project, and I also encourage that program and project in our schools. Equity, we are ready for you as well. Then from then, we contacted Equity Bank, and they took us through the whole process of how we can also convert our kitchen from firewood cooking to gas cooking. They exposed us to several contractors and suppliers, and today we use the LPG gas in our kitchen. We no longer use firewood. We have had the LPG since 2021. We are coming to almost 2 years now. We have used it actually for 1 year and 3/4 of the year. LPG cooking has many benefits. First and foremost, we have done away with deforestation. That is one, and quite major. Then our kitchen is extremely clean, such that our cooks no longer cough just because of smoke. And the first 3 months, we realized that in the worst month, we were saving about 60,000. So if you multiply 60,000 per month for 3 months, that's all 180,000. If you multiply for 3 terms, you see it's going to over 500,000. And so we realized that that money could be used to do another project in school, or we could use the same amount to support needy girls who could not pay their fees.
Now my staff don't wake up as early as they used to. They used to wake up at 2. Now they wake up at 3:30 a.m. because now the gas is to the work road, and we find it more efficient to use the gas compared to firewood. We used to scrub the filters and the hood twice a term. Now we only do it once on crossing the school. Then we used to scrub to remove the soot, which was being brought about by the smoke, the firewood. And still we used to scrub the walls, which we now don't do. We only do at the end of the year. We don't stay longer in the evening because of the work. We only stay because we are waiting for the students to come and serve their 10 p.m. tea.
We used to use a lot of time serving students, but these days we are able to serve them in less than 30 minutes. They are done and they are gone to their studies, that is in the classrooms, where they concentrate in their academics. When you're using firewood, we will have the suppliers bringing in firewood that is not dry, so you'll have to spend a lot of time calling them so that they can come and cut them into smaller pieces, or they add more firewood that is dry, and that one will be wastage of time. But these days we have 2 tankers, each 2 tons, so we have 4 tons. These current suppliers that we have are very efficient, and I'm sure if I have the 2 tanks full, in 2 months I will not have any issue of following up the suppliers.
We are in partnership with Equity, and we've been planting trees where initially the trees were cut. We've done a lot of afforestation. We planted over 5,000 trees. It feels very satisfying, and you feel proud that you are part and parcel of a transforming group that is advocating for greener environment. We are also advocating for use of green energy.